Well, now we're entering our next class, the Mentor
Yes.
OT program, and Kristen Lehl is here today. Thank you so much for everything you've done for us, Kristen. Were you guys all able to watch the video? Good.
Everybody watch it? Anybody that didn't get to watch it, you can go ahead and tell us if you didn't.
I haven't been able to.
Okay. And then Kristen is going to, you have the questions that anybody had as feedback, right, Kristen? Yes. Okay. So we're just going to let you take this and run with it, Kristen. And thank you so much for, it takes a lot to do what you did and what the other agents are doing for us to contribute to this. And you'll be forever memorialized in our YouTube channel. So
I don't know if that's a good thing. Okay.
yes. Yep.
Well, hi, everybody. I'm Kristen Lehl. I know most of you, but not all of you. So welcome. Some of you were Facebook friends. Kathy, we're Facebook friends, but I haven't met you in person yet. But welcome to the Good Life Group. You're in a really great spot to be. These things are like noise reducing and they're driving me nuts. I feel like I'm yelling at you.
Can I interrupt you for just 1 second? Tim, the recording is going on.
I can stop it.
Okay, so
you mean to break it for the 2 classes?
Yes,
I can.
I just did a pause, but it didn't stop. So if you stop it and then we start all over again,
I do all sorts of editing. I can handle it. It'll be
okay. Great. Go ahead, Kristen. I'm sorry.
So take that, Carol. All righty. Well, again, I'm Kristen Lehl. Hi, everybody. Welcome. I'm going to start off with answering some of your questions. If you did not have a chance to watch the video, it is long. Jenny, be prepared. It's an hour long. So I tried not to ramble. I tried to give you just what you need, but there's a lot to know when you're doing a CMA. So the biggest questions that I have were, where can we locate the CMA adjustment form? I will get that to Rhonda to send out to everybody. And okay, so let's just go down the list and see where we were having questions at. All right, so Kathy, to answer your question, I don't use anything else but the MLS. I only use the MLS to pull those comparables. You know, some people use RPR and Cloud and CRM. I only use the one that's in Paragon. Your mentor might use something different, or somebody else might use something different. Try it out. That might work better for you. Go for it. I don't have any experience on that, so I really can't speak to it. I played with them a little bit, but not enough to be able to speak honestly on it. Okay.
Thanks. I think I was mostly like just interested in how they compare and like usability. it seems a little tedious to like re-enter the same calculations over and over for each property. So I was wondering if there was one that kind of like does some of the once you put it in once, it kind of recognizes it or not. Like in terms of square footage, price per square foot, you know, that sort of thing.
Sure. And I'll tell you what, if you find out, share that with me. I'm just so used to doing it this way that I'm open to learning. So if somebody else does it a better way, let me know and I will adjust also and learn with you. So I'm not afraid to learn. And I think everybody who's been in this business for more than a year will still tell you the same thing. You learn something new every day. And don't be afraid. Don't be afraid if you're 8 years down the road like I am and still learning new things. This business changes regularly. So always be open to learning and learning new ways. Okay. Bridget, you wanted to know how I got to the CMA summary report. Am I able to share my screen if I get into this, Carol?
I make you, let me see if I can make you. Tim, can you make her a co-host so she can screen share? Okay, you're a co-host now, so you should be able to screen share.
Okay, can you hear me? Yep, I'm here. I had to unmute myself.
I went to mute myself and I muted you. I'm done.
We're good. I got it. All right, so here we go. And you should see that we're in the MLS now. I'm just going to go up to the search button I'm gonna click on residential. I'm just gonna do a small, quick search. I want sold houses that are single family, not attached. We did 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, oops, 1 car garage. And I'm going to do the map search. This is going to be very similar to what I did in my video. Okay. So the house that I did my CMA on was down here near Ridgewood and Center. Sorry, I'm making myself dizzy. So I'm going to use, yeah, see, I'm just making myself very dizzy. I hit the draw button and I do the rectangle. I'm going from 90th to 72nd down to 80 from Pacific. Let's see what, oh, I meant to do 6 months back. Otherwise, we're going to get too many people. 6 months back. Okay. That's still an awful lot, but I'm going to do a search. And can you see my screen still? Did I move you out of the way? I don't know if you can see the people as well as what I'm sharing. But okay, so you click on reports and I have it under my favorites. It's the CMA summary. And I click on that. And it brings up everybody. So you can get the summary statistics, what the high price was, what the low price was, your average and your median for list price, and then sale price. That's over here on the right-hand side. And it shows you how many properties we have. This particular page shows you the number of bathrooms, bedrooms, cars, garage spaces, the type of house, the status. This is all going to be sold. Anything that you need is like right there. The days on the market, how long it was on the market for. So that's how I got to that particular CMA summary report. And I believe that's going to be down here in your, is it a specialty view? It might be in the specialty view because I pulled it up. I don't think I can see
Did
where it
you
used to
set
be.
that up yourself, Kristen?
The favorites?
That particular summary statistics.
Nope, I didn't. I
this
just
is-
used the one that was in
okay.
here.
Then, but you favorited it, and that's how
I
you got
favorited it, so it's
correct.
not in any of these other little pop outs.
Right.
So you just have to look. It's either under details or multi-ups, and you pull
So
it
when
out.
they find one, they can just make
Yeah.
it one of their favorites. So
Yep.
they don't have to keep looking all the time. So
Correct.
yeah, good.
Correct. So did everybody see how I got there? Were there any questions on that?
You want to do it again?
Yep.
Get there again.
Let me move this guy out of the way. I'm not going to see any video, so I need the pictures just so I can show you. We went back here. We went to the search tab right here. We clicked on it. We did residential, and it brought this tab up. And our criteria, you put in the criteria that you want. We did sold, blah, blah, blah. So you need to have a search in order to pull up that information. I'm going to break this down just a little bit. 1 story. Okay, so it's a little less. And I'm also going to do pending so that you can see the difference. That brought it up to 27. And then I click search because I've already done the rest of it. I did my circle around a certain area that I wanted. So they're sold and pending in here. Oh, look, there's my listing, the one that we were doing this for. I come over here to reports. It's on the right-hand column, that top column, along this bar. Can you see I don't know if you can see my mouse, but I clicked on CMA summary and it separates them out. So you've got your pending section and your sold section, and you can compare those. Each section, the pending section and the sold section, they have your average, minimum, maximum, and median prices and days on the market, square foot, et cetera. So it tabulates that section for you. And this top section up here is for all of them. What's sold, what's listed, the list price, the sold price, your low, your high, your average, and your median. And that kind of helps you with getting your range. Okay, how did that go? Anybody have questions for that? No questions? All right. The next question, let's see here. We've got the copy of the CMA adjustment form. Like I said, I'll get that out to you. I think that one was for Ben. That's not question for me. Have you ever? Okay, so Katie, yes, I have had a time where I could not find a good comparable. Usually, it's going to be a house that is very unique. It could be an old house in a new neighborhood, or it could be an acreage. Um, there will be different situations. What I do for that, let's take an acreage, for example. I had an acreage this past summer that I had to sell, and there weren't a lot in that general area of Ponca Hills to use just Ponca Hills for 6 months back. There weren't enough. So then because most of the houses were new and two-story and beautiful or mid-century and had all these amazing features. And ours was a very old home that had been built onto, but it was very basic. So I had to expand my search to different counties even to find what I was looking for. So not only did I do different counties, then I went back further to 9 months and then 12 months. And I kept expanding until I could find something that would give me a better idea of what the market and this particular acreage would go for. Then I tighten it back up again and I relook at the items that are in all of Omaha, Washington County, Douglas County, Sarpy County, sometimes Odo and Cass County. And I then just tried to stick to 6 months so that I could really focus in on what that actual market price range would be. Did that make sense?
Sorry, I
Yeah.
was trying to unmute myself. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that's just, I had a situation come up earlier this year where I just really struggled to find a comparable for a property in Ralston. So,
And, that's going to happen a lot. So then what you just need to do is keep expanding the area or expanding, getting maybe a little more detailed. Krista, feel free to jump in. And Raquel, also, you both are very seasoned realtors. Jump in and share anything you want. Hi, Raquel, I'm here too. Um, yeah. Sometimes you just have to expand the area, or you have to get really nitty gritty and look for a very specific house and expand the time frame. Raquel, what do you want to add?
No, I was asking, what are your thoughts on, because it's like, for example, I just did a comp on a ranch home
Mhm.
in Exarban it's just for an estate for a past client. It has an additional house in the back and there are no comps for this house. I mean, you talk about a unique property. There's
Yeah.
literally two. It's theirs and the brothers next door. And no one's selling, so it's not an issue. But we started looking at 1.5 stories. Even though this is a ranch home, there's this literally additional house that it's tied together, barely. So we started looking at 1.5 stories just to give the family, kind of a price range in which to work with it, because a family member is going to buy it, so it's not something that has to go on the open market. But I don't know what your thoughts are. I've seen appraisers do that where they'll use a 1.5 story with a ranch. It's not a good comparable, but if you get pushed up against, if you get backed into a corner, it's better to use, I think, like a 1.5 story to a ranch than it is to go outside of the area. Does that make sense? Like too far, because like you couldn't go into Dundee because that's a whole different ball game. And then between the parks and the colleges, you're going clear over the other side of 72nd, and there really wasn't anything south of Center. So I was curious to see what your guys' thoughts are on doing something like that.
I'll chime in, say, Raquel, and say, when you are doing a CMA and you've got like what you just described, the older the house, you can stop using style of home as a criteria. And if, like, yes, I always try to do ranches to ranches, mostly ranches. If I'm in Midtown, I'm going to compare a 1.5 story to a 2 story very similarly. I'm going to put much more weight on square footage, but I'm going to go down to where the bedrooms are. So if I can't find any other ranches, I'll try to find another 1.5 story where there's at least a bedroom on the main floor. So it's just the whole point. It's not apples to apples. Now, when you get into the suburbs where the houses are newer, you really kind of need to stick to houses that are the same style. So,
well, and
sorry.
I think when you go out west, you really have to stick to style, because a 2 story does not always compare to another 2 story.
Right.
I mean, even though they look similar, you kind of, that's where it's beneficial to understand your styles, your builders and stuff. But yeah, it's food for thought. And all I can tell you guys, there are times when I've done comps and it takes you forever to do one just because you're really trying to, like Kristen said, you're just really trying to find something that compares to the home that you're looking at. And when you do find something that compares and it's not right in Ponca, for example, you have to ask yourself, should I take this comp and go further back, or should I take this comp, which is outside the area? Like, which one's more like the Ponca one? It's sometimes we're just guessing too,
And I want to expand on that. A lot of times, if I'm really having a difficult time finding the comps that I need, I will actually pick up the phone and call Mitchell and Associates,
Yeah.
and I will talk to an appraiser, and I will explain the situation, and I will ask them, if you were appraising this house, where would you pull the comps from? What would you be using? What section? Is it a time frame? And I would ask the appraiser, because ultimately, when it comes down to it, if you're accepting a loan on the house, then an appraiser is going to come in. So you want to kind of think the way the appraiser is, and they're going to say, yeah, it's worth this, or no, it's not. So when in doubt on really unique properties, call the appraiser and just ask. I've done that,
Absolutely.
I don't know, 4 or 5 times, and it's been a saver.
I will say, to your point, Kristen, as you as agents develop relationships and you get to you get into the field, you're going to meet appraisers, and we never get to choose the appraisers, but you're going to meet some. Once you find one that's become your buddy, save them. Just have an appraiser that you like for that reason, not because they're going to do any favors for you. The one that you can pick their brain. So.
Also, agents, talking to other agents about properties that they currently have pending in your area or that they've sold there before. A lot of agents will I made a phone call yesterday to an agent who has a pending property and there's not a lot of anything else or sold. And we're going to be listing one in the area, and it's one of those over 400, 500,000. So it's not as easy as just, something that's split 250, 20,000, whatever. And this guy gave me like everything, like how he justified what he was using, the fact that there was some other new constructions coming up. I mean, he actually, like, I was totally blown away that he actually like completely helped me with coming to a price on the house that we're looking at. So, other agents can do that and not necessarily even tell you like what there's sold for if it's still pending, but I think leaning into other agents and those relationships are just as important too.
Yeah,
What's the rule of
definitely.
thumb, Kristen, when you have an older home, but it's been completely remodeled
Mm-hmm.
in regards to pulling comps, in regards to age of home, but it's been gutted and remodeled?
And that's a great question. On my little cheat sheet, I don't think I have a copy of it right here. It's my CMA appraisal cheat sheet. What did I call it? I don't even know what I called it. I don't have it on me. I will make sure that gets out to you. There's a consideration that you can make for if you're using similar age homes, which I generally do. And if one has been updated, there's a place for you. They give you a range of prices for something. Hi, she's got it. Thank you. She's so good. Sorry, I wear my mask. Sorry. Oh, you're good. Okay, so thank you, Raquel. Raquel just gave it to me. We're in the same office. I'm going to take off my screen. That's my background. That'll help, I think. There we go. Now you can see it. It's the CMA adjustment form. And in the kitchen, you can do an all new or a partial. So you can adjust it for it. If your kitchen is all brand new and your comparables are older, you're going to get more value for your kitchen because it's been updated. Same thing with bathrooms. They will give you more, it'll up your price is what I'm saying. So there's more value there. Does that answer your question?
Where did you get that CMA adjustment form? Is that something that you had formulated or?
Nope, this came from a previous brokerage that I was at, and it came actually from Mitchell and Associates. So I have a copy, and it's a little bit older. I've been told by some other agents that appraisers are changing the values.
For
She's
what
got
is it,
some,
what you have right now? Could you guys share those?
yeah,
I'll go scan them right now for you guys. I think if you flip the page, there should be another one. We've collected them over the years. They reproduced it.
A million
Gosh, I want to
times.
say about 5-6 years ago, and it was the same one from like 12 years ago.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So
I'll just
we'll
scan
make
them
sure
right
we
now.
can get these out to everybody. Oh,
Yeah.
Raquel,
Kristen,
you're
Raquel,
so
if you can just send that to me, I'll distribute it
absolutely.
That would be
Who,
great.
who said send it to who?
to Rhonda.
Rhonda.
Send it to help me, Rhonda. Help me, Rhonda.
I'll send it with my bill. They're super expensive.
Good, I'll pass that on to Tim then.
Kristen, would something like that hold more weight or be more valuable than just knowing the dollar amount that was put into the remodel?
You never get dollar for dollar back. So
Right.
make sure you're telling your sellers, you know, it's great, it's beautiful, but dollar for dollar, you don't get that back. It does hold a lot of weight. It could be 99, 98%, 90% back. It just depends on what the buyer is going to pay for that house and how they feel that the remodel is, what they feel the remodel is worth. They might get it all back, but for consideration, it's not dollar for dollar.
Mhm.
Can I
Okay.
comment on that too, Kristen? That and you guys will go through and you'll see that some sellers, I don't do this. I discourage my sellers from doing this. We'll leave you like a list of all of the improvements and what they paid. And at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter what you paid, partially because some people will overpay for a service. Some people won't get the quality of work that they paid for. I think at the end of the day, it always just the end product, the quality of work that you're able to show. You could have paid $12,000 for a kitchen that looks very high end, and you might get, like Kristen said, you might get $10,000 worth of value back, but you might put 20,000 into a kitchen that you barely get 10,000 back. So I think a lot of it just comes down to the final product and what you have to show to the public and what the public's willing to pay. So it doesn't matter, to be honest with you, what they've paid for something. You'll see this a lot. New roof to the tune of $50,000. Nobody cares. First of all, your insurance company paid for it. I'm not going to give you $50,000 more because, it's a pretty roof. So anyway, at the end of the day, it's about what the final product looks like, not what you paid.
And I just want to add to that, Raquel, she's absolutely right. I have had those experiences. I've been in your shoes and I've learned along the way. It doesn't count dollar for dollar. I had a listing up in Blair and I was trying to fight tooth and nail for my seller, trying to do the right thing because they have this beautiful new roof on it, not taking into consideration that, yeah, it's a $50,000 roof, but insurance did pay for it. That's not going to mean much to everybody, maybe somebody. So you'll learn, you're going to make mistakes as you go, but never hesitate to ask a mentor. Ask your mentor, ask any one of us that have been here. Ask each other, hey, what would you do? That's the name of this game and that's the name of this brokerage. We collaborate. So don't be afraid to ask the questions and don't be afraid, if you make a mistake, you learn from it and you keep growing. I've made many mistakes and I have done a lot of growing just by admitting, okay, that was a mistake. How do I make it better? That's the biggest advice I can give you. The last question that I have here, before I move on, any other questions about this particular topic that we're discussing? Now, Jennifer, you also had asked about this cheat sheet and finding good comparables. Did this conversation help answer those questions? Yeah. Okay, good. Katie, you also asked, no, Jennifer asked the seller's net sheet. Where do we get the information? I'm not going to answer this question very, very well because I have a worksheet that has everything already built, all the formulas built into it for me. So I just drop in numbers and explain that it is an estimated net sheet. It will be close but not perfect, and final numbers always come from the lender and the broker, or lender and the title, after they balance their sheets. I will report, or kind of point you back to our YouTube page. Last week or the week before, Raquel did an amazing ATA on seller and buyer sheets. Take a look at that video. She explains so much in that video, so that will really help you as well. Tim, you look like you're trying to chime in, like you want to say something. Go ahead. No? Okay. So yeah, Raquel, if you want to add anything, otherwise, she did an amazing job on her video for that ATA, so definitely go back and look at that.
I just have a question. Was it Katie that asked that question on the seller net sheet?
Jennifer Zanker.
Okay. Is there something specific that you were looking for the net sheet, or were you just net sheet in general?
Just net sheet in general. I had seen that in her video that she had done, Kristen had done, it was empty, and then she referenced another one that she was utilizing. So I was just curious from the net sheet perspective in general.
I'm one of the nerdy ones.
That out too. Oh,
I'm one
sorry,
of the nerdy
ahead.
ones that does it from scratch every time. So if you want to reach out to me, I'm more than happy to walk you through that.
Oh, perfect. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think it's very helpful to know. This is one thing that I have always been weak in. So I might call you, Sheila, also, and have you teach me again. I know I've been doing this for 8 years, but it's just one of those things that I trip up every time. So I cheat and I use this web, this worksheet that came out from another lender.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want me to share that with you, I will, but take Sheila up on it and definitely pick her brain and learn from her. She's one of the nerds who does it from scratch every time.
Well, and Carol, like for the mentees and stuff, and Sheila, I'm willing to do this too, but maybe we should do just like a one-on-one, not a one-on-one, but like just with the mentees, go over the cost sheet again.
Yeah, actually, that would be fantastic. And I was going to ask you after that last week, I was going to ask you if you could do that during February.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, but yeah, and whoever, I just think it's just something that once you, just do it and just do it again and again. And
so I think it's the third week in February, the 7th, which would be like the 18th.
Yeah, whatever. Just
I'll send you a text and we'll do that, because I think when you're talking to the brand new agents, you're also going to go, you're going to dumb it down for the rest of us. Also, sometimes it gets like, when you're speaking to everybody at every level, it's different than when you know what your audience is. So no, thank you. That would be wonderful.
Yeah, cool.
And then we videoed your thing, so it already can go to your library. So
I got notice that I'm up for an Academy Award. I'm so honored.
Yeah, I think the Grammy. I think it was the Grammy.
Was it only a Grammy?
Well, the real estate ones are called the Rammys.
The Rammys, yes.
So, yes.
I'd like to thank Vodka Stoli for getting me through all those years. Anyway.
Okay. All right. I've answered, I think, every question that was on the sheet turned in while we're here. Is there anything you want me to expand on? Are there any other questions that you all have that we didn't answer?
Do have a question, and I apologize. I don't quite know how to word this, but with your CMA procedure, with setting up searches in the MLS, is there some type of manual or like a handbook? I was trying as you were going in your video, because your video was so good and it was so precise, and I was trying to like write everything that you were doing, but I felt like I was missing steps. Is there kind of like a step-by-step guide anywhere or anything like that? And it's okay to say no. I just was curious.
Sorry, I'm going to have you repeat that, because my earphones keep turning off. I hate them. I will not use them anymore.
Oh, that's okay. And it's fine if the answer is no. Is there just like a step-by-step guide for how to prepare a CMA, or some type of manual, like to set up searches? And like I said, okay, if the answer is no, I was trying to take notes as you were talking. Your video was so good, but I feel like I missed something that I feel like when I do this again, I'll go back and watch your video, but I just didn't know if there was something like directions written down.
You know what? I kept all the materials I had at my previous brokerage. There is a step-by-step process. I'm going to tweak it to be a little more updated, and I can get that out within the next week so that you can have that.
Well, the last thing I
Yes.
want to do is cause you more work, but if I don't want to cause you any more work, but just something would be.
No, I'm happy to do it because that way, if anybody else has a question, it's there. Is that all right with you, Carol?
I love that. I'm going to give
Okay,
you.
yeah, I will take care of that and I'll get that out to you within the next
Thank
week.
you for stepping up and volunteering for that. That would be actually fantastic because I bet that anyone that's on here that's a little seasoned, nobody ever like had something to actually like really go by that you could actually use. We all got it from somebody else, and made our way through making mistakes, just like you're talking about. So one thing, Kristen, when you were first talking, I don't think that the other mentors that joined us were on here, and I was going to ask you to ask them if they use any other sources besides MLS, or they tie it in, or they do multiple things. Maybe they can contribute.
Sure, absolutely. So Rhonda, Sheila, Krista, obviously Tim and Carol, and Raquel. One of the questions that we had were, do you use any other sites in conjunction with, or in addition to, or even instead of Paragon CMA? Does anyone use Cloud CRM, RPR? Are there any other systems that you use to produce your CMAs?
I'll start. I don't. I go strictly off of what's in the MLS, and I use that. I also pull up, I think, as you showed, the assessor site information as well, if it's been within the last 10 to 20 years. But those are really the only sites that I use when I'm preparing.
I will say, by the way, Rhonda doesn't do my CMAs for me. I always do them myself, and I only use the MLS. My previous assistant used RPR, and he absolutely raved about it. And people say it's the best thing since sliced bread. But I just use the MLS.
I've used RPR. I think it's a lot of glitz and lights, but there's a lot of information on there that you really have to understand the house in order to get the specifics of the house, because you actually customize it. So it comes up with this incredible, like you can get like a 90-page report, and then you've got to like cut down. So if you're looking for flash to give to a client that you don't really know if you've got them yet, clients are pretty impressed with it because it gives neighborhood studies, it gives everything that's ever been out in that area. It's really extensive, but I'm not always sure that just as a one brush, until you massage it, if it really is true to what the market is doing. It's information, it's data, but it's very transactional versus also being live with the market and also relational in nature. In 20 years, I'm an MLS, like that document, that CMA summary is gold to me. It tells an amazing story, and clients can understand it. Like days on the market and how much houses are on the market for, how much they're selling for. It shows trends. For me, that's what I depend on. So
just basic data.
Basic data that is understandable and doesn't have a lot of flash around it. Basically, what they want to know is like, how much is my house going to sell for? And you want to hit the market correctly. So the percentages that come out on that and all the rest of it are what I lean into. But that's not to say there aren't other sources out there. I'm really about simplifying with what really works, and MLS is the most live data you can get. So that's my take on it. Raquel, what do you use?
So the very first thing that I do, honestly, is when I talk to my seller, I find out what they think their home is worth for two reasons. One, am I going to walk into that appointment making them the happiest people in the world because they think it's worth 220 and it's actually worth 260? Or am I going to have to walk in and talk them off a ledge because no, it's not worth 325. It is only worth 260. And I start with the MLS. That is probably where the main source of my information comes from. But being that I specialize in an older neighborhood and in Midtown, we get a lot of for sale by owners. Luckily, knock on wood, not so much the last couple of years, but knowing your area that you farm and knowing what we get a lot of stuff that's sold privately. It's not, I wouldn't even call it a FSBO. It's just transferred between,
Yeah.
you know, people. So I use Zillow and the assessors for that kind of information because I think it's important to say, hey, by the way, there are some homes too that did not hit the MLS. And these are why we're going to price yours higher or lower or whatever the case might be. Because the assessors do have access to all of that. Now, I do use RPR sometimes. Again, I use these kind of for guiding points, like that CMA summary that Kristen, that you guys showed. You guys, that is the best thing. That is like you said, it is paper gold, liquid gold, whatever you want to call it. I love that because what I'll do is look at the whole area and then I'll break it down by style. And if you do that, you'll notice that the whole area might be pulling an average of, I don't know, $160 a square foot, but your style of home is actually pulling more or less. And then when you really narrow it down to the homes that look most like the one that you're dealing with, because not every two-story looks the same, not every ranch looks the same. A ranch and a raised ranch, while you can compare them, it's not an ideal match. And you'll start to see when you break it down, you'll start to constantly start to throw that dart in the same spot. And then that's when I look at it and say, okay, this is where I think your house is going to sell. And then I really hone in using the MLS on the pit. You know, I try to find the best comps that I can. It used to be that we were told to get like 3 comps. I try to do 3 to 6, depending on, you know, like if you're looking at a 2-story salt block style in Midtown, I can probably find you several comps.
So you go wide, you go wide.
You just go wide.
You go narrow. This is exactly, yeah, I do this.
You just
Go
go
wide,
out,
yeah.
try to find what you can, and then you filter it in and find the best of the best. And then I really sit down and look at those and say, okay, are these really good comps? And then I also say, okay, is there anything out there that would pull this up or pull this down? Because I've had that happen where I really think a house was worth, you know, $325, but 2 blocks away, a house that was 1,000 square feet smaller sold for like $200,000 less. And I'm like, why? Why is that more updated? You know, and that really pulled my house down. And that particular listing, that house was a killer for like a year on that.
Or a new construction in the same neighborhood as one that was constructed a year or 2 years ago. That's the same exact house, only there's such a variance in the pricing. So yeah.
So MLS is your number one. That CMA summary, I really feel like that's going to be your guiding, you know, that's your North Star. And I don't personally give my listing and sellers any formal listing presentation. I don't leave them with anything as far as other than like a CMA summary. I don't leave them with like an RPR report or anything. Any of that stuff I do is for my own benefit. And like Carol, you were talking about the RPR report. Yeah, don't print the whole thing off. Nobody cares.
God, no.
Nobody cares. It's just a bunch of this. Yeah. It's stuff like telling you that, like my kids went to Dundee Elementary and they're telling that the world says that that's just a okay school. Well, you got to know what you're talking about. It's not, but
yeah.
So yeah, CMA summary is gold. MLS is the best.
Yeah. Less is more. As long as it's deep, it's a good deep take on the home.
They just want to know how much money they're going to walk away with.
Exactly.
Most of them don't care about the comps. They don't care how you came up to it. I will say though, a good question you can ask your potential sellers: are there any homes that you have seen that have sold recently that you would compare your house to? That'll tell you 2 things. That'll tell you, if they won't tell you what they think their house is worth, it'll tell you what ballpark they think it's in. Because a lot of times they'll say, oh my God, my neighbors around the corner sold exactly like our house. Now they're a lot more updated than we are. Now you go look up that house and you see how updated that house is, and you know that you potentially need to step it down. Keep in mind, once you walk in, it might be more or less updated than you think. But that also tells you how they think of their house. You know, how does it compare to other houses? Like that one's, they'll tell you, sellers will tell you a lot of information if you just ask the right questions. And if you get them talking, they'll tell you what they think their house is worth and, you know, what kind of condition they really think it's in. So when you go and you give them, hey, I think your house is going to sell for, I don't know, $260. I also tell them why I don't think they should go any higher and why we should not go, you know, below $250, for example, because of this house or that house or this reason or that reason. And then they buy into it. It's you and them putting a price together. I'm not taking a sticker and putting a sticker on their house and saying it's worth 260. We're together coming up with that price. And as long as nobody else is on the market and we're the only house like this, we can easily ask 260. But boy, I'll tell you what, if 2 houses come on just like yours, you know, we're going to lose that competitive edge. And they get that, you know, you're talking about the whole, it's not a shelf product. So you have to just kind of figure out why you're in that range. Why are you in that bubble?
And I think you need to get a hold of them too. So it's a very good point of what you said a while ago about you always ask them where they think the pricing is, you know, in different kinds of words, but there's so much chatter out there from people. Hey, you can get a lot for your house. Don't even put it on the market, like sell it yourself and it's going to go for this much and all of that. So gathering their trust immediately in the information that you're going to be providing them, I think is your best point of not asking them, what do you think the price of the house should be? Because I don't know how many of you ever gotten this one back, which is, well, that's your job. You tell me. So
I want to see what you're going to price it at, and then I'll let you know what I think it's worth.
So the way that I come at that is, I know you guys have probably been looking at other things that are happening in the neighborhood, and I've got some information on that. But based on what you've seen, what kind of range do you think your prices, your house is in? So not trying to make them be specific or trying to, you know, any of that. That's a head start before you even start pricing, is seeing where they are, taking the temperature.
One thing that'll tell you too is if they do tell you, or if they get defensive, that gives you an insight on what kind of personality type and how you need to approach that client. If the client says to you, oh my God, Raquel, we don't have a clue. I mean, trust me, I love the house across the street, but that's way bigger than ours. I mean, oh my God, you're just going to need to guide us through this process. You know that these are people that are going to listen to you, and they are going to let you take their hand and guide you through the process. And so I love clients like that, because I'm like, cool, I can do my job.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Any other mentors have used something else that you could share with these guys? Okay.
I think the best thing that you can do, if you have a lull, especially right now where you're trying to build up systems that you use every day, I would say start with your own home or a good friend's home and do a CMA. Just do it from top to bottom, because you don't want to get that phone call, hey, guess what? I want to list my house. And then you panic because you don't know what you're doing. You've never done it before. So start practicing. Pick a random home that maybe one of us has that might be vacant, and go. Just call us up and say, hey, I want to practice a CMA. Can I use your listing? Yes, do it. And then have your mentor look it over. If you want us to look it over with you or answer any questions about that, feel free to reach out to whoever's home it is or to any one of us. But I highly recommend you do it now, while this is still fresh in your mind, how we went through this, and while you still have a little bit of a lull in your business, because you want to hit it out of the park. The sooner the better, right? Comments, thoughts, questions? You're muted, Carol.
I have just a couple comments on some things that were told to me when I first started. How Kristen did her map and she built the area. In the event that you're looking for a comp and for some reason it's not in the area that you've originally started out, maybe you put in the neighborhood specifically. Somebody told me that the next range would be like the elementary school. So I thought that was a really great tip that somebody gave me when I started. Second thing is, when you do a CMA, keep it in their file. In the event that your appraisal comes back, and maybe you already said that, Kristen, or in your video, I'm sorry, I haven't watched your video yet, but hang on to it, because if the appraisal comes back low, you want to be able to easily pull that back out and be able to fight that appraisal and have the information that you use to price it.
What I do, I generate that CMA report, and then I will save it on my Google Drive. I've put money into Google so that we have that cloud type service, and I can keep all of our documents that aren't in maybe .loop. I keep them on our Google Drive, and I can pull up any of them. I've got, for the last 5 years, I have old CMAs and I can pull it up and say, hey, yeah, when we looked at your house the first time, you know, this is what we came up with, or what have you. But you can save it and then I email it to my clients, and then we talk on the phone, or I'll Zoom with them and I'll say, hey, let's go through this. What are your thoughts? So I do a little bit different than Raquel, and maybe some others, but I give them the full report. That's what I'm comfortable with. You know, you'll find things that you're comfortable with. If they work for you, stick with them. If you feel like you're kind of plateauing, try something new and just keep evolving. But yeah, you definitely, whoever's just said that, Sheila, you do want to keep a copy of it, because you can use it for the appraiser and say, this is what we got. Or if you're having a really difficult time with another agent, here you go, here's my comps. What did you pull?
Here's something to keep in mind too. If you do get a very difficult comp, especially like a Ponca acreage or something, it's not a bad idea to leave that information for the appraiser so that they don't have to work as hard to try to find, and trust me, happy people are more than willing to justify, but when you're grumpy, you're more willing to be like, oh, this isn't appraised right, you know, and they'll just turn it in. And it's hard to fight appraisals, you guys. It's hard to fight them, and it takes a lot of time, and you've got people that are in time constraints. And so keep those appraisals and be ready to defend. And if you feel that it really needs some guidance from the get-go, just when the appraiser calls to make the appointment, you can just simply say, hey, I'll tell you what, I'll leave you some of my comps and stuff and all of the updates the sellers have done on the dining room table. Feel free to take it. Some may or may not. But it's, you know, at least if you're trying to be a team player, they appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
So
unless you get that one lender or the one appraiser who thinks that you're trying to do their job for him, and they bite your head off because you've left documents for them, just let it roll off your back, because they're just really grumpy people out there.
Yep, there's a few out there that are a little. Yeah, thick skin. Welcome to real estate, folks. Thick skin.
They're usually happier. I mean, usually I will say I do that a lot. If I'm even remotely worried about a house appraising out, I have the comps ready. Exactly what you ladies just said. Have the comps ready, list of all the upgrades, all the repairs, even if it happened when they didn't own the house. Literally everything.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's what it is now. Yeah.
Everything about the update in this house. And oftentimes I will email it. Oh, the minute a house goes pending, I try to change it so that the appraiser has to call me if I can, so that I have control of that appraisal's information. If I'm really nervous, I'll leave the stuff at the house or I'll email it to them. And once in a while, to your point, Kristen, they might be a little bitchy and like, don't do my job for me, but far more, they're going to be happy that you helped them out. And in every instance I've ever done that, I've never had a low appraisal.
Right, exactly. And really, at the end of the day, as long as you are doing what is in the best interest of your client, you can sleep tight. If you do everything you can ahead of time and prepare, doing what you were hired to do, you know, you've done the right thing.
Questions, you guys?
Using the high school always going to be the best way to do like a search area. Like District 66 is obviously its own unique one. I live in Trendwood, where a quarter of the square mile I live in is Burke, but yet 2 blocks up is Millard School District, which obviously there's a little different sounding in Burke, Omaha versus Millard. So would some cases be better to do a radius or the rectangle, or just kind of know what you need to do?
What I do in that case, because there's another, oh goodness, it's out west. It's half Millard, half Gretna. I can't think of the name of the neighborhood. Starts with the B.
Bellbrook.
Bellbrook, thank you. Yes. So in that case, like Bellbrook's pretty unique, and it's so many houses. You can do the full, just look for Bellbrook. But in Trendwood, like you're saying, it's going to come down to what the buyer's looking for. You need to be careful, because Millard is going to be attracting more and more buyers than OPS. It's just a fact. You know, if people really have their heart set on Millard. So before you even get into that whole, like the CMA, when you come to marketing it, you have to make sure you tell them exactly which high school it is, because it's right there on that cusp. But I would, if it's in the Omaha district,
probably go to Leewood, wouldn't you?
Pardon?
Would you go across the road to Leewood, Caddy Corner?
I probably would. Yeah.
Isn't it called Leewood, I think? Yeah.
I think so. I would stick within the same school district
Mhm.
and just expand to a different neighborhood if you need to get that price point, because at the end of the day, people are going to miss your house because they're going to just completely skip over that listing because they really want Millard. So they're not even going to consider your house half the time. But then there's sometimes, because it's so close, they'll go and try to opt their kids into Millard, or if they're already there, try to grandfather them in. Did I just contradict myself?
No, and you guys, that's where it comes down, I think, to knowing your subdivisions. Not that you have to know every one of them, trust me, you won't, but you're looking more about like houses. And if I'm buying the house in Trentwood that's in the Burke or OPS school district, my house is probably going to compare more likely to that other raised ranch in Leewood, which is just catty corner, similar price range, similar style, similar build, similar, era that it was built in, than it is to the Millard. Now, I would look at the Millard ones because it's in the same subdivision and use those. Like, again, you're looking at that whole picture. When you make chocolate chip cookies, some people put brown sugar in, some people put molasses in, whatever. But at the end of the day, we've got chocolate chip cookies. So I just kind of look at it and say, okay, I'm going to look at the comps in Trentwood, but just know that people buy houses because of the school district that they are in. I mean, they literally up and move their families to be in Millard North, or, look at the COVID situation where they pulled their son out of Burke and moved to Millard South and bought a house just so that their son could play his senior year in football because OPS didn't have any sports. And people,
they will.
I'm telling you, it is cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. I had offers off contingent upon getting the approval of whatever Millard North.
The school.
She made the dance team and they were buying a house. I'm like, well.
And you find that out. You find that out when your clients are listing or selling as well. We just sold a house to somebody from California, moved to Omaha so their kid could play baseball at prep, because California's sports were shut down and he's in his sophomore year. And they actually moved from there to Nebraska.
That's hardcore.
The kid's a great baseball player, and they were like, okay, the trajectory he was on was going to be stopped, and they were,
That's crazy.
So they moved here and bought 3 houses for the same price.
My kids are definitely abused, I'm telling you.
Yeah, well, but the motivation behind what you're saying is the motivation is key when you're looking for something that is similar to. So similar to doesn't necessarily mean the same, like you said, if it's OPS or if it's Millard. So that was a very good conversation about that.
And don't be afraid, you guys, but sellers get that. They get that. They understand that there's a pull for Millard versus OPS. Mm-hmm. They really, even if they don't have kids or they don't have kids in school, they get that.
Yeah. You're not telling them anything they don't know. You're just telling them what you do know. So, anything else? We're just about done with time here. We've got 4 minutes left. Any last questions? Has this been helpful to you guys? Yes. Okay. Good. You all look a little stunned, so that's okay.
Rhonda,
stunned
I'm gonna scan all of those CMA things that I have, and I have a bunch of stuff in my little cheat book. Just there was some egress window information in there, house style definitions. There's NIFA targeted. I mean, I've got a bunch of stuff. I'm just going to email it all to you.
Perfect. Yeah, just send it all, and then Kristen, if you can too. I reached out, so I'm lucky enough. What's that?
Oh, I was going to say some of it's older, so just take it with a grain of salt. But it's all guidance.
Perfect. I live in my cul-de-sac. I live next to 2 different appraisers here in town. Also, one of them works for Mitchell. So I just reached out to him, and he sent me a document that he uses when he goes on appraisals too. So I'll put all of this together as soon as I get it from Kristen and Raquel and Krista. Sheila, if you guys have anything too you want to send, just forward it to me, and then I'll put a pretty little package together and send it out to everybody.
And where can we, Tim? Can we start someplace that stores these docs for our new agent, and other, but
Yeah, I just don't know where.
yeah, let's talk about that further.
Can't we just put them on on the Good Life group, just have a link just for mentor mentees that everybody can have access to, but then just save them on the Google Drive?
Is Garrett sitting behind you at Indian Hills?
He can be.
If he's out there, ask, because he would be the person I would ask to do it for us. So, just ask him if he could do that, because he's the one that's been helping us with our website.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that'd be great. But I do agree, because it's not just these things; it's other documents that are going to be coming.
Yeah, because I obviously we're going to be, this stuff is going to come at us. We don't want to have to duplicate it again when we have the same conversation with the next group. So, yeah,
Well,
perfect.
While Raquel's doing that, another question. So another team I'd been on in the past, they went a lot by square footage above grade and did not really care too much about basement. And maybe that was just for more of a quick, dirty thing versus a true CMA presentation. So maybe just to pull some quick comps, and some of them did flips. So that may have just been more geared towards a quick and dirty one.
Somebody speak to that.
I'm having a hard time hearing because it's really busy in here today.
He said that the team he was on before basically just used above grade square footage and price per square foot kind of thinking. And what was the rest of your?
I wasn't too worried about the basement, and I think maybe that I never went on like a true CMA with them. That may have just been for a really quick synopsis, just get an idea.
Some people do that. Some agents, they only want to deal with that type of quick CMA, and that's all they're going to base. I have run into those with my listings where the buyer's agent comes in, couldn't see the whole picture, was only focused on the black and white of price per square foot, period. That's all they would consider. So I think the whole house is an entire picture, and I think you need to look at that entire thing when you're figuring out your CMA price point.
And to briefly, I will just add on that. I know another realtor at Berkshire Hathaway who I have a lot of respect for this woman, but she uses dollar per square foot as her primary and almost only factor. And I said to her once, if that were the case, then nobody would ever be able to flip houses, because you typically don't add square footage. You're fixing what's there. So I think square footage is a factor, but not a decision maker.
Right.
Raquel, what did he say? Can you do it for us?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll work with him. And then my thought is, you go out to the goodlifegroup.com, and then on the left side you've got quick links and references, whatever. Somewhere on there there'll be like a mentor mentee or a training section.
Documents. Yeah,
and then you'll click on that, and then my thought is once you click on that, you'll have a bunch of links that'll open up, and it'll be CMA information or egress, or however you want to file it.
Anything we would need to throw in there. That's great. Yeah, I love that.
So, and somebody may need to help him, because I think Jackie set all that stuff up originally. Where the logos are. Just make another folder somewhere in there that is for the training.
Yeah.
So
we'll follow up with him, but
then that way everybody has access to this information. So.
Yeah. Perfect. Thank you. You guys rock. Wow.
I haven't been saving this stuff for 20 years for nothing.
It's amazing what's being created. I'm blown away. So thank you to all of you that are participating in the class, the mentors that are taking the time to join us and share the experience is amazing. And Rhonda being the catcher in the whole thing. Help me, Rhonda. Okay. Go ahead.
Very lucky. You're very, very lucky to be with us. And of course I say it like that, but we're so lucky to have you, that you've chosen to be with us. Talk to your mentor, reach out to any one of us. It's a pleasure having you. It's a pleasure sharing our knowledge with you.
We got you. We got all of you. It's fun. The family's getting bigger and bigger. You guys know Kristen has triplets and another one.
And another one.
Triplets, so
Greg.
She's used to taking care. Yeah, and Greg. Yeah, that's like
Greg takes care of me. Let's be honest. He's an amazing man. Yeah. But Brenda, you've got another one coming too, don't you?
Hey, yeah, I do. End of May. So That's why
Yeah.
I'm up like 10 million times during class. So I'm like, I can't sit here. Yeah. So
Okay, well, thank you guys very much. And next week is
Don Grimshaw.
is Don Grimshaw on this class, and then all the rest of it on the mentor class. So we'll see you next Wednesday, and hopefully talk to you guys in between. Anything at all you need, reach out to everybody or anybody on here. So
Exactly. And really quick, to the class for the assignment for next week, there's 2 videos, just to make sure you understand. It's Dawn.
there's 3.
Now talking about
Dawn's. Oh, I'm sorry. Excuse me. I'm in the wrong class.
Talking about the home inspection. Yeah, Carol, we're not on 100 Days of Greatness at the moment. Now we're in the mentor class. They all bleed together. So she for like 30 minutes talks about the home inspection, and then there's the other video actually walking you through a home inspection with the home
inspector.
So those are both in there.
Inspections for 10 years. Do I get a pass on next week?
No.
See how somebody else does it.
Because you're going to bring more to the table in a different capacity.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're going to be counting on you. So get ready.
Okay, perfect.
Okay. All right. Okay. Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, Kristen.
Bye.